And good evening, everyone. Welcome to a special NFL mock draft show not sponsored by, but hosted by the K&K Sports Show and the Denver Bronco Roundup, Rocky Mountain Sports Network. I'm Kenny K here from the K&K Sports Show and the Denver Bronco Roundup, newest member over there. Pleasure to be with you guys. And I'm here with my good friend Trevor Salzman. We did these last year, so this is year two of the mock draft specials. This is 1.0. Trevor, how are we doing tonight?
Doing well, Kenny, and excited to be here. It's actually really surprising that how fast the season goes, and then we're already here. It just seemed like the other day we were doing these mock drafts, but it's crazy how much a year can make with your teams and whatnot, what teams need. So, but excited to be here and getting ready to get started.
Yeah, and we're going to give people time to come in. Again, we're a little late tonight on the East Coast, so I'm sure people will tune in later. We do have Graham backstage helping us. He's back there. Uh, Give us a hello in the chat, Graham, when you're back with us backstage, so we know you're there. But yeah, we're gonna have some fun doing this. We'll wait for some people to come in, but yeah, we're gonna do a few of these leading up to the draft, Trevor. And like you said, it's here. We're here to have fun. Super Bowl, you know, unfortunately, I'm a Giants fan, and the Eagles are in there, and you're a Bronco fan, and the Chiefs are in there for the third year in a row. So, what better way to keep our minds off of the Eagles and Chiefs than to have a mock draft? So,
I think everybody's getting tired of seeing the Chiefs. I think regardless of what team you cover or what fan you are of what team. So I think everybody's just tired of seeing the Chiefs be in the Super Bowl at this point.
and there's our good friend Scott Sigley. He follows the Denver Bronco Roundup. Better late than never. And Graham, you're back there. How are you doing, Graham?
I'm doing pretty good. Just finished up some supper.
Nice, nice. So yeah, thank you for hanging out with us, Graham. Graham's going to help us backstage with some comments, questions. Audience, as you're coming on in, give us your grades as well on our pick. So that being said, I'm going to put up our mock draft simulator, and we can get started. I'm a Giants fan, so the Giants picking three. Trevor and I, for this first one, just a basic mock draft that we're going to have, audience, and no trades on this first one. I'm going to pick the odd number teams, being the Giants are picking number 3. Trevor's a little further down the line, number 20. He's going to take the even teams. And like I said, Graham and anyone else want to put in 2 cents in the chat, questions, please do so. And we're just going to run a quick test to see how it looks. Think we're good, right, guys?
Yep, looks good to me.
All right. So that being said, let me set up the draft here for us. Tennessee Titans are on the clock. We're going to start the draft. And for me, it's simple with the Titans, Trevor, and everybody. For me, if Mason Rudolph's your starting quarterback and beats out and they bench Will Levis, you're not going to have this opportunity many times to have the number 1 pick. You got to take a quarterback. And in my opinion, there's 2 that are going to go early in this first round. And I'm going to go, let me find him. He's a little down the line. I'm going to go, and that, by the way, team needs for the Titans, guys: quarterback, tackle, edge, and corner. Give me the quarterback, and I'm going to pull him up now. Cam Ward, Miami quarterback. I've seen him play. I think that's the fit for the Titans there, Trevor. And I'm going to go with Cam Ward. I think it's the biggest need that any team needs as a quarterback. So give me Cam Ward. Want to give me a grade on it?
Yeah, see, we were talking backstage, Kenny, and here's my thing. I don't know that they're going to take a quarterback, number 1. I see all these teams in the top 3. I think, they can possibly trade up or trade back, and I think for Tennessee, obviously picking 1, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried trading back and get multiple pieces, because as much as you want that quarterback, if you're not sold on that quarterback, that there's no reason just to take him number 1. I think Abdul Carter is going to be in the conversation here. That's the guy that if I was picking one, that I would be seriously considering. Travis Hunter's got to be involved here as well, as far as in this discussion of being picked number 1. So I think the Titans either could go best player available, they could trade back, get more picks, or they go the quarterback route. and that's either Shador or Cam Ward. But yeah, I mean, I think this is an interesting pick. I wouldn't be surprised if they take a quarterback here, though, either.
Yeah, I think they need. They're in desperate need of a quarterback. So that's my take on that. So we'll see how it goes. But that's my pick there in our mock draft. So you're up with the Cleveland Browns, Trevor.
Yeah, so I mean, Cam Ward's off the board. Obviously, today we heard that Myles Garrett requested a trade out of Cleveland. We'll see when that's granted and if that's granted. But I think if that's the case and Myles Garrett's going to be on the move, you can definitely tell. I think that Cleveland can and will get a package back, a good package back for a guy like Myles Garrett, one of the best defensive players in the league. The package of picks that they're going to be able to get back for him is going to be huge. So for me, what better way to replace a guy like Myles Garrett than to go with Abdul Carter, edge rusher from Penn State, to number 2 here to the Cleveland Browns. I think this would be a fantastic fit for them. I mean, again, I think Abdul Carter can go number 1. I think he could go as low as number 4 to the Patriots. I love what his game was this year. I mean, 13 sacks, 43 pressures. This guy's, I think, a game changer, and I think he's the best edge rusher. And you need premium. You're drafting for a premium pick here. You have to be able to hit on this, and I don't think Cleveland's going quarterback. You can make the case for Travis Hunter here as well, but I think Cleveland's going best player available. But again, wouldn't be surprised if they end up trading back come draft night at pick number 2.
Yeah, in our next draft, we'll do some trades, and that'll be fun on our next mock draft. So we're going to put Abdul Carter up there. And I forgot to do this with the first guy. I'm going to read the analysis. We're off of PFF, so let me see if I can get the analysis on them. And no, I can't right now. It says it's subscribe for more draft analysis, and we don't have that right now. But no, I like that pick. Team needs, it said, quarterback, running back, tackle, corner. With the Myles Garrett news, edge rusher for sure. The other name up there, Travis Hunter, that might be the way I would go with Cleveland because you're getting a 2-for-1 in a corner and a wide receiver in some packages there in Cleveland. So that would be the only other way I would go. I would not take quarterback if I'm Cleveland just because of the Deshaun Watson still being there. You got to get something from him. I mean, they got all that money invested in him. I think they still going to try and get something from him. So we'll see. And there's our good friend Keith Brugman, Rocky Mountain Sports Network's own. Browns trade for Sam Darnold, free agent, right?
Yeah. Well, if he doesn't get franchise tagged, anyways. But
Okay.
I don't think a team's going to trade for Sam Darnold with what the franchise tag is going to be. So I think if either Minnesota lets him walk or they're bringing him back on a 1-year deal, aka the franchise tag.
Yeah, and you know what, Keith? I could see Sam Darnold going to the Raiders, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know, with Pete Carroll and now Chip Kelly running that offense, I can definitely see that being an option for sure. Okay, so we got our first 2 picks up. Cam Ward, Abdul Carter. That leaves my New York Giants on the clock. And quarterback, tackle, defensive back are top 3 needs. I can go Travis Hunter here. If I see, I'm making the pick on this like I think the Giants are going to do. And Paul, I hope, hold your ears, close your eyes, because it's not going to make you and it's not going to make some Giant fans happy. But my same reason as Cam Ward pick, the Giants need a quarterback, and you may not get this chance to pick this high. I think you take a chance with Shador Sanders. I know it's not going to be an A-plus pick here, but the Giants are desperate, and I really think they like Shador Sanders. So I think they're going to take a shot here and reach a little bit for Shador Sanders. That's going to be the pick for the Giants, Trevor.
Yeah, and Kenny, real quick, I mean, for me, I think Shador – listen, I don't think any of these quarterbacks are – the next franchise quarterback. That's why I think best player available should be on these teams' mind first and foremost and possibly trade back, but every team's different. I do think the Giants like Shedeur Sanders. They've been connected with Shedeur a lot lately, and so I wouldn't be surprised if they end up taking Shedeur here. Let Brian Daboll develop his young quarterback in a way he wants to. Shedeur's a little bit more seasoned quarterback as well, very accurate with the football. He just needs to start being more on time and get rid of the football quicker and not take 20-yard sacks.
Yeah, and let's say hello to Jody. He's replying to Keith. Jody, one of the four horsemen. I can say I'm one of the four horsemen now, so it's always fun to say that. I got to get used to saying I'm one of the horsemen. But Jody, the fourth member of the four horsemen, Denver Bronco Roundup. Check us out tomorrow night, 9:30 Eastern Time, 7:30 Mountain Time. He's saying that Sam Darnold being a free agent, and he's saying Sanders to the Giants as well. You're up. Got a good team here to see what they're gonna. They had somebody, in my opinion, fall right in their laps. So let's see where Trevor's going with the New England Patriots. Mike Vrabel era about to begin in New England. Where are they heading?
Yeah, I think, Kenny, like you just said, I mean, they have a guy that arguably could be the number one pick in this draft. Mr. Travis Hunter, cornerback from Colorado. I am having him going here, number 4 to the New England Patriots. I think this is ideal situation for them. I mean, you get a guy that can not only just be a corner, but also can play some wide receiver, help out Drake May. If the Patriots go in free agency and go get a guy like T. Higgins or Chris Godwin and give Drake May some more weapons, I think Travis Hunter arguably is one of the best players in this draft class. So for me, Travis Hunter, it makes perfect sense for the Patriots here and just get a guy that just falls in your lap. 2 teams at the top of the draft that were desperate to take a quarterback. The New England Patriots end up benefiting from that and take Travis Hunter, arguably one of the best players in this draft class here at number 4.
Yeah, that's a great pick. A+, I'm going to give that one because this guy is going to be a generational talent. And, you're going to put him on both sides of the ball, throw some packages in there with the defense. He could be the defensive leader for years to come, and then he could have some offensive plays on wide receiver. If the Patriots do draft Travis Hunter, do you think they use him as a wide receiver more or a corner?
Yeah, that's the luxury you get with taking Travis Hunter. For me, I think he's more of a corner, but they'll use him in packages. I just don't think he's going to be able to play every single snap, obviously, at the next level. I just don't think that's going to be able to be part of his game, especially as his career progresses. So for me, it's at corner. But even at corner, I mean, you're taking best player available next to Christian Gonzalez, who's also a very nice young corner as well. So I think you would have your own packages for Travis Hunter, but very intriguing player and again, best player available, and it helps out your team regardless.
Couple comments. We got Jody saying Sanders is a better version of Jared Goff. And Peter Johnson, our good friend Peter Johnson, always hanging out with Kurt Valenti. Check out Kurt on, might be there Wednesday night. He's got some stuff going on. I think he'll be home in time for his Broncos show Wednesday. He's saying Vrabel won't go to glamour pick. He'll want to build those trenches. And I think I don't know if Travis Hunter would be a glamour pick. I know he's the big name out there. I think it's a defensive guy, and I don't think you can pass up on Travis Hunter if he falls into your lap.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I agree too with you, Kenny. Because I mean, you could take Mason Graham there, but if Travis Hunter's available, you have to go best player available regardless. I agree, though. You have to build the trenches up, but they may also address that in free agency too.
Yeah. And speaking of Mason Graham, the Jaguars are up, and they got a great wide receiver in Brian Thomas. Had a phenomenal year. LSU. They bring in Liam Cohen, Duval. I don't know what to think there. I'm gonna go off the board here. I'm gonna say defense in the middle of the trenches there with Walker. I think they take the top defensive lineman on the board here in Mason Graham from Michigan. And I think they get a good one here. Stop both the run and can rush the passer here. So for me, Mason Graham's going to be the pick with the Jaguars. I'm going to go defense. They got to build that defense up a little bit in this first round, in my opinion.
It's a great pick. That's exactly, I think, that's how I would project this draft to be in that scenario as well, Kenny. And I think, you have to really, there's something about that best player available mindset you have to have. And Mason Graham, I think he's one of those top players in this draft.
Yeah, that. And Graham's saying someone needs to download that Duval clip. Yeah, you know what? I may have the guys do that as my quick hitter. One of my quick hitters, Graham, do their best at Duval.
Have Kurt do it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely him and Paul.
Yeah.
Well, here's an interesting one. You're up on the clock with the Las Vegas Raiders. Trends, needs rather, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and corner. There's some good ones on the board here. Uh, you got McMillan, the wide receiver, Janty, the stud running back, Will Johnson, corner. So they got their choice of three needs with the third, fifth, and sixth ranking according to PFF. Trevor, you got your choice here.
Yeah, I've got a lot of choices, and I think they're going to have to go playmaker here, though, Kenny. I think that's what they're going to have to focus on. And I was back and forth on a couple guys. McMillan, the wide receiver from Arizona, and one and only Ashton Genty from Boise State as well. I mean, you have to add some more playmaking to that offense other than Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers. So for me, what does Pete Carroll love to do most? Run the football. Ashton Genty, running back from Boise State, is going to be the pick here at 6 for the Las Vegas Raiders. I know it's a little high for some people. I get that. But if you have a running back that you can believe in and that can not only be effective in the run game, but the pass game as well, why would you hesitate to take him? I mean, he's the best running back in this class. Pete Carroll loves to run the football. You go get a bridge quarterback and you place him with a guy like Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers. Now you're not looking at, too bad of a playmakers for this Las Vegas Raiders offense. So Ashton Genty might be a little high for some people, but I think this is a pick that it would be, along the Pete Carroll kind of alley where he wants to run the football and puts a lot of pressure on his offense to run the football effectively.
Yeah, that's an excellent pick for the Raiders. Could go McMillan here, another playmaker on there. But, give me the guy who was a workhorse, and, going to get the ball 20 to 25 times on the average a game. That being said, and we're going to go to the next pick, and that's my neck of the woods. New York Jets are on the clock. Down year, they bring in Aaron Glenn. So I believe it's going to be defense, Trevor. And I'm going to Graham saying, someone tell Carroll that the top kicker in the draft is the next Sebastian Janikowski. I like that. So the Jets, I'm looking at their needs: quarterback, defensive line, and defensive back. Aaron Glenn, great defensive back in his days with the Jets. Wayne Corbett, a guy I went to school with, former New York Jet, used to talk very highly of this coaching hire. They used to go up against each other in practice all the time. I think he's going to want to have a solid defense. You still got Breece Hall. You still got Garrett Wilson on there. I'm looking at a guy on the board here in Will Johnson, the corner out of Michigan. Put him opposite of Sauce Gardner, and now you got something building on that Jets back end of the Jets defense there in the secondary. So give me Will Johnson, the corner out of Michigan, Trevor.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets go defense here. I mean, you end up getting, Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator from the Lions. He's now your head coach. You got to wonder if he's going to want to, help shore up that defense a little bit. Okay, I think that's a pick that fits there. Also, keep in mind, if Cam Ward doesn't go number 1 overall, the Raiders pass on a quarterback. Don't be surprised if the New York Jets are into conversations for Cam Ward and Stuart Sanders as far as quarterback-wise. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, it doesn't sound like he's going to go, be back in New York, but we shall see. But, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they went quarterback here either, if one would fall to them of one of, Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah. So, let's recap what we got so far. So, I'm going to start at the top. For those just coming in, we're doing a mock draft, first round, 1.0, no trades, through 7 picks, rather. I'm sorry. Cam Ward goes to the Tennessee Titans. Followed by Abdul Carter. News today of Myles Garrett requesting a trade. Abdul Carter goes to the Browns at number 2. Shedeur Sanders, Giants try and get their quarterback at 3. Patriots at number 4 get arguably the number 1 guy in the draft, ranked guy in the draft, and Travis Hunter, 2-way star. Mason Graham, top rated defensive lineman goes to the Jaguars at 5. The Raiders get a playmaker in Ashton Genty at 6. And most recently just announced Will Johnson team him up with Sauce Gardner at 7 for the Jets. That puts you on the clock, Trevor, with the Carolina Panthers. Interesting team here. Came on at the end a little bit. Very little competitive team. Surprised some people. Curious which way you're going to go with this pick.
Yeah, I mean that's this is a team that has a lot of needs. Again, they're picking top of the draft for a reason. I mean, this is a team that you can argue they need a wide receiver. You can argue that they need someone on the defensive side of the ball. And I'm going to stick to my pick that I originally had. I'm going to go with James Pierce Jr., the edge rusher out of Tennessee, going to Carolina. They need some edge rushing help on that team. I know McMillan, the wide receiver, he's too tempting to take here. I get that. But you have to fix that defense and give E.J. Evero a chance to fix that defense and get that defense back on track. And you have to give him talent. I mean, everybody wants to talk about the offensive side of the ball, and I get it. And you need more weapons for sure. But you have to hit on an edge rusher. You haven't had anybody since Brian Burns to be able to get after the quarterback, and so, consistently. So that's why I think they're going to stick and pick here and go edge rusher.
Yeah, I love that pick, Trevor. I think this could be after Abdul Carter, the next best edge rusher in this class, and he's quick. I think he's a little smaller in size, but you can work around that and let him be the anchor of that defense, rushing the quarterback. And Carolina in a weaker conference, the NFC South, nice draft, and they're getting closer. So let's see. I like that pick, Trevor, a lot. So I'm going to give that one an A minus. Maybe you want to get the playmaker for Bryce Young. That's why it's not an A plus. But if both of these guys are on the board, Pierce and McMillan, I got no problem taking Pierce there. So excellent pick in my opinion. We're going to move on to number 9 rather. That's the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints are going to be looking for a new head coach. It's rumored about Kellen Moore being the guy. We all know he's going to be in the Super Bowl on Sunday, the offensive coordinator for the Eagles. And to me, this is too good to pass up. McMillan's out there. Put him opposite of Olave, or you can maybe look to trade Olave and get some draft picks in return on a team that looks to be rebuilding and may not be in line for a quarterback early in the draft here. So give me the third-ranked player. Falls a little bit. He's average draft position 6. We're going to get him at number 9 for the Saints, Teteroa McMillan, and I hope I didn't butcher that name too much. So the stud wide receiver out of Arizona, Michael Ronquillo, our friend, good big Arizona Wildcat fan, when he comes on, if he and sees this, hopefully he likes that pick to the Saints.
Yeah, and that's a team that needs more playmakers as well. I mean, you have Chris Olave, but Chris Olave has major injury issues as well, and it wasn't able to stay healthy for much of this last year. So I think that's a great pick. And if they're wanting to keep a guy like Derek Carr around, if you're Kellen Moore, what better way to give him than to give another weapon along with Kamara, Olave? Suddenly, it becomes a very interesting New Orleans Saints team, and could be a team that pushes for the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to keep moving on along here. This is another team bringing in Ben Johnson. The Chicago Bears on the clock. You get a good team to pick here. Running back, center, guard, edge rusher are their needs, according to PFF. We're going to put them on the clock, Trevor. Curious to see where you're going to go at number 10.
Yeah, I mean, for me, they have to address the offensive line with Caleb Williams. I mean, you have to be able to protect your quarterback and give him, some more to work with. So for me, I end up having, there's two offensive linemen. It's Will Campbell, the tackle from LSU. And there's Kevin Banks Jr., the tackle from Texas. Either one, I think, would be a good fit for them. Either one, I think, have the flexibility to move into guard as well. I'm going to go with the best tackle in my mind, Will Campbell, the tackle from LSU here at number 10 to the Chicago Bears. I think it makes a lot of sense for what they're needing to do. You have to protect Caleb Williams the best you possibly can, and what better way to do that than to spend a top pick on Will Campbell. Again, he can play at tackle. I think that you wouldn't hurt to try him out at tackle. I know the Bears have a couple tackles there in Chicago already, so that's why I say you can possibly move Will Campbell in if you need to. But I think Will Campbell probably, I think, immediately right away is probably a little bit more seasoned to start right away than Kevin Banks Jr. I think he's a little bit more raw of an offensive lineman, but I think you can make the case for either player. But I think offensive line, I think, has to be the pick here. This is a team to watch, though, for Ashton Genty. If he makes it past Raiders and makes it out, right out the top 9, I think Ashton Genty would make sense here for Chicago as well.
Yeah, it's a good pick, and this is a guy who can go top 5 as well. Jaguars may take him at 5, so if you get him at 10, that's a good pick. Getting this tackle to protect the young quarterback. Keith's got a question. I'm gonna get to that in 1 second. Just want to put something up here for myself. Okay, Keith's question. What position has the biggest fall off in your opinion, and how deep before the drop? You want to take that, Trevor?
That's a great question. Deepest fall off. I mean, I would say you can say in a lot of different areas. I would say the quarterbacks though also. I mean, but you can say so many different positions though, Keith. Honestly, quarterbacks after Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. There's nobody else going to the top in the first round, in my opinion. I mean, and I'm not even sure that Shedeur Sanders is a first round pick, but I think you just say quarterbacks. I don't think any team is going to take a quarterback after you just taking either Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, the second quarterback off the board. It's going to be a long time before we see a quarterback taken again. This is a deep draft at running back, deep draft at tight end, offensive line. There's a couple guys spread out through the draft that you could take, but I think the drop-off rate, honestly, is quarterback, and this is not a great quarterback class to begin with. I understand that, but as far as realistically, where are you going to take these guys? You're not going to probably take a Jackson Dart in the first round after you just got done taking, after Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. So, or even Quinn Ewers, unless they test real well and then really impress. But as of right now, I don't see another quarterback going in the first round like the 6 we just got done seeing a year ago.
Yeah, let me get a couple. I'm going to go a little different route. You can go running back because Genty, that would be the obvious one. Genty, and then everybody else is below Genty. But linebacker, because I think at the most you're going to see, and this is even like, you're going to get 1 possibly from Georgia, maybe 2. The kid from Alabama, Campbell, is maybe my other second guy in the first round. And I think after that, there's a pretty big drop off at linebacker. So I'm going to say linebacker is going to be a drop after the first guy's taken, Keith. That's the way I'll go. But a couple hellos. Well, first, Graham saying if Al Davis were alive, he'd be taking the fastest player in the first round, even if he's graded a 4th round pick. Couple hellos. Clayton saying, hey guys, smash the like button and share. What's up, Clayton? Always good to see you. And there's Mr. Ernie Mays. Go Broncos country only. Go Knicks for 6. Mr. Mays, Trevor going to be picking number 20 soon in our mock draft. Hopefully you like the pick he makes. Please comment if you like the pick. We're going to be getting to that shortly. But we're up to number 11 right now, and that's the San Francisco 49ers. And this may be a little reach. This is going to be a reach, but I think this guy's got potential to climb up boards, Trevor. I've watched him play in the SEC, and he played for the Texas A&M Aggies. 49ers can use some defensive help. Bosa's hurt a lot. Get somebody on the opposite side of Bosa. Give me Nick Skirtan from Texas A&M. I know it might be a reach, but you do get reaches in this draft, and I think this is going to be a first reach. Nick Skirtan from Texas A&M, the elite pass rusher.
Yeah, I mean, I think the edge rusher could absolutely be in play here for the 49ers. I was also thinking in the secondary possibly as well. I mean, you have Malachi Starks here. Nick Manowski, the safety out of South Carolina, could possibly be in play here. So you can go, again, a wide variety of different positions. But edge rusher, I don't have a problem with you ever taking a premium position in the draft, and you're taking a chance on that, Kenny. I think that's a solid pick. It might be a little bit more of a reach for me when you have guys like Mike Green and stuff on the still on the board, but I mean, if you believe in him and this is your guy, you have to take him at 11.
Yeah, and the reason why I took him, I'm a believer in the competition. So you got Skirtan playing against SEC. as opposed to Green play in the what conference is not the MAC, the conference Sun Belt. He's in the Sun Belt conference, so that's why I went that route. So that's the reason why I did that. A couple more. Carson, our good friend Carson Shear Show. Check out the Carson Shear Show, guys. Carson does great shorts and around Detroit sports and also major news. So most recently we had the Luka Doncic trade and De'Aaron Fox in the NBA. Carson does great YouTube shorts on the Carson Shear Show, and then you can also check him out on the K&K Sports Show with us Wednesdays. And Ernie saying he's going to wait for the 20th pick for Broncos only. That's right. We'll be on Denver Bronco Roundup tomorrow, Mr. Mays. We'll be doing a nice little agenda we got planned for tomorrow. All right, Trevor, you're up number 12. Number 12 is a good one here. The Dallas Cowboys. I am definitely interested to see where you're going with Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is another team that could use so many different things on either side of the ball. I mean, you could use another, playmaker for Dak, and I know they just have CeeDee Lamb, and I've been a little harsh because they just have CeeDee Lamb. I think Ashton Genty could be in play here if he was available. For sure. They could go wide receiver McMillan somehow, some way would fall here to that. I don't think you would hesitate to take him. Offensive line is huge here. I'm gonna go the defense side of the ball. I'm gonna go Malachi Starks, the safety out of Georgia. I think they need to shore up that secondary a little bit more, and that defense was not very good last year. I think Dan Quinn's presence really hurt that team, and they lost Diggs also last year to that season-ending injury. So you need some to shore up that secondary a little bit more. But again, there's so many positions that they need right now. It'll be interesting to see what they address in free agency before we get to the draft, of course. But I think Malachi Starks is a great player. I know it's a safety top of the draft, but this is a guy that I just think has a chance to be elite safety for many, many years. And I don't think you think twice about it if you believe he can be that guy for you. So main thing here with Dallas is to shore up that secondary. But I think safety would be huge for them. And I think Malachi Starks is the pick here for me.
Yep, and I like that pick. The other route I would go would be wide receiver. Luther Burden's on the board there. So, but I think defense might be an option for them if Janty doesn't fall to them, where they try and move up for Janty. I think that's a solid pick. Nicole's saying hello. Nicole Gizzy picked smart Trevor because she's a Dallas Cowboy fan. That's up, Nicole. And she was commenting on Facebook. Nicole, I left my Facebook feed on. So anybody who's commenting on there, I'm going to try and see if they are. I forgot to take it off doing the mock draft show, reading comments tonight because Kurt usually reads the comments. Let me see what I missed. Give me a second, Trevor. We'll see what we got here. Let's see. All right, 1 second, guys. By the way, let's get to the next pick while we're doing that. That puts the Miami Dolphins on the clock. Dolphins in need, guard, tackle, defensive lineman, safety. This is a no-brainer for me. Excuse me. You got to protect Tua Tagovailoa at all costs. He gets one more injury, his career is over. Give me, in my opinion, the best tackle left on the board. And you can argue that it's Josh Simmons, but he fell down. He was top-ranked tackle last year. He fell a little bit on the rankings. I'm taking the big Texas guy in Kelvin Banks Jr. for the Dolphins to protect Tua for the next few years.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kenny. I actually I just said a couple picks ago, Kevin Banks Jr. was a guy that I was thinking about taking, but I think this is a guy that slots in as at guard. That's where I think that he's kind of is best placed, 6'4", 320. Typically, 6'4", 6'3" guys, they're going to end up being those, the guys that can slot into guard. Those 6'6", 6'7", bigger guys are more your tackles with their long arm length as well. So we'll see how Kevin Banks Jr. tests, but this is a guy that I think will move inside to guard.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's continue along here. We'll make one more pick, then we'll announce the picks from 9 through 14. Indianapolis Colts. This is an interesting one. Needs are tight end, and this is one where you hope they pass on tight end. You got edge and D back as their needs. Trevor.
Yeah, this is another tough one here for me. I mean, I think that you can argue them going tight end, but I mean, it's just at some point in time you have to address that defense, and defense wins championships for me. That's the mentality I think you have to have. So I'm going to go Jahade Barron, the cornerback out of Texas. Here to the Colts might be a little bit of a reach, but I think he's a fantastic player. And this is a real pretty deep cornerback class in the first round. I think he makes a lot of sense for them. They need to address corner as well, and they just have to get their defense back on track. And I believe they just hired the Cincinnati Bengals defensive coordinator too. So they need to make sure they address that defense. I know Tyler Warren's so tempting to pick there, but I just don't know that you go offense once again this year. I could see them going tight end as well. I mean, this is a team that needs many needs on both sides of the ball. But for me, I think DB for the Colts makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I like that pick, Trevor. I'm with you. I like Barron. I think he's going to rise on some boards. A couple comments from the call that I missed on my feed. Want to know who's drafting Sanders with the laughing emoji? The Giants, in my opinion, Nicole. And she's saying anyone but the Giants. And she also said Genty wants to go to Dallas. Thanks, Nicole, for watching. And sorry, I forgot to take my feed off, but it's on now. So if you can comment on Facebook if you'd like, K&K Sports Show, or on my personal Kenny Kirkpatrick page. All right, that's going to put the Falcons on the clock. And the Falcons, I was hoping for a guy. My top pick for the Falcons was going to be Malachi Starks, but he got drafted by Nicole's Cowboys. So I'm looking at their needs: wide receiver, edge, linebacker, corner. When you got three needs that are defense and one need that's offense, I'm going defense in this first round. Luther Burden's up there. That's intriguing on the offensive side. But I'm going with a guy that Trevor just mentioned a couple moments ago. And I'm going to take a chance on Mike Green, the edge rusher out of Marshall, here at 15 for the Falcons.
Yeah, that's. I was going to knock you a little bit if you didn't take an edge rusher, because this is a team that needs a lot of pass rush. I mean, they just do not have it. We've seen it when they were played against the Broncos. They just could never get after the quarterback. And I don't know if Atlanta will go edge rusher here. Typically, they like to go playmaker in the first round, so I wouldn't be surprised if they went Burden here for some reason. But yeah, I think edge rusher needs to be where they target, and I think they'll be a good one here for, when they pick at 15.
Yeah. Definitely. So we're going to keep moving on. Let me announce some of the picks that were made. We'll go 9 through 15. I'm sorry, 8 through 15. 8 was James Pierce, the elite pass rusher from Tennessee. 9, Saints get the number 1 wide receiver ranked in this draft to Teroa McMillan. At 10, we're going tackle Will Campbell out of LSU for the Bears. 49ers get an edge rusher, pair him up with Bosa, Nick Skirton. Dallas gets Malachi Starks, the top safety in the draft, ranked. Dolphins get to protect Tua with Kelvin Banks Jr. Indianapolis gets some secondary help, Jahade Barron, and some edge needed help for the Falcons, Mike Green. That's going to put Arizona on the clock with you, Trevor. Not the most popular needs here: guard, tackle, defensive lineman. But curious to see where you're going to go. That you may go best available, or you're going to go position of need.
Yeah, and you took my pick with Mike Green, the pick before with my going to Atlanta. Yeah, I mean, I think this is an Arizona team that needs. I mean, again, they need edge rusher too. That's why I had Mike Green going there at first. I'm going to go Mykel Williams, the next edge rusher from Georgia, going to the Cardinals. I think they need to get after the quarterback. They were like bottom in the NFL in pressures this year. They have to get somebody to get after the quarterback. I think the guy that had the most sacks on that team was 7 this year. So I mean, you just have to be able to get after the quarterback at a high level if you're going to compete in the NFL. So yeah, I mean, I think Mykel Williams dropping here to 16 to Arizona, I think it's a heck of a pick for them at a premium position, obviously at edge rusher.
Yeah, I absolutely love the pick. Edge, you get. I think he can go as high as the Jets,
Mm-hmm.
and I had him mocked, and I changed my mind to the Jets at 7. So getting him this far down the line, I think this guy's going to climb up boards as well. Played in big SEC against some top talent, so I think that's a great pick for Jonathan Gannon's defense over there in Arizona. All right, moving along, we're getting there. We're halfway through. It's going to put the Cincinnati Bengals on the clock, and Bengals. I got to go simple here. I got to go offensive line. I got to protect the. I know you can say they're losing. They're going to lose. What's his name?
T. Higgins.
T. Higgins. You get wide receiver. I'm not. I'm protecting Joe Burrow because if you lose Joe Burrow by any injury, it's going to be hell to pay. So give me. I'm going Texas. I'm sticking with the Texas boys here. You know what? I'm going to change my mind on the spot. I'm changing my mind because I see somebody on the board still that I mentioned. Trevor, I'm going to go Josh Simmons here, the tackle out of a national champion Ohio State Buckeyes. I think like I said, he was top ranked in 2023, came back and got hurt, so he fell a little bit, and he's not a top 10 pick now because of that injury, but get him back to form at 17. I think it's a nice little spot here for the Bengals.
Yeah, and you have to protect Joe Burrow at all costs. I mean, you're absolutely right, Kenny. And I believe they ended up taking Amarius Mims last year, another tackle in the draft. So that's back-to-back drafts when they're taking tackles. So clearly, if they make this pick and they take a tackle here, they're trying their best to try to protect Joe Burrow at all costs. Luther Burden's very, very intriguing on the board here. If they end up losing T. Higgins, which I think that they probably will, knowing the price that he's going to be asking for. I've heard over $100 million. $100 million or over with like $80 million guaranteed. So that's right around the ballpark T. Higgins would want. You're trying to keep Jamar Chase long term, and you got Hendrickson you're trying to keep on the defensive side of the ball. So, but I think tackle would be a correct pick here as well. Do whatever you can at all costs to protect your star quarterback in Joe Burrow.
100%. I couldn't agree more with that, Trevor. Our good friend Michael Ronquillo's joined us. Good evening, Kenny and Trevor. He just got done watching Monday Night Raw on Netflix. Michael, your boy McMillan, the wide receiver, got drafted to the Saints at 9. Do you like that? Do you think he's going to go before that? Do you think that's accurate? And Broncos pick at 20 is coming up very shortly because we're on pick 18 right now. And I'm going to send it back to Trevor for pick 18.
Yeah, so I may
disappoint. The Seahawks, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Seattle Seahawks here at pick 18. I may disappoint some Bronco fans here, but I'm not sold on the Noah Fant here in Seattle. I think Tyler Warren's the pick here at 18 for Seattle. I think he only falls so much. I don't see him falling all the way to Denver at 20. They can move off Noah Fant this year. Noah Fant's been fine, but if you can get an upgrade at tight end, I think you something you absolutely should be thinking about. And I think Tyler Warren is the pick here at 18 for Seattle, the tight end from Penn State. I love his size. I think that he's a tight end that's got a lot of potential. I really do. I think he's got the most potential of all these tight ends in this draft class. My only thing with him is rookie tight ends don't always make a big impact. I know Brock Bowers last year. I get that, but Brock Bowers was a complete tight end right away that you could plug in right away. I think Tyler Warren may take him a little bit to kind of get implemented into the NFL, make a real impact. But, I mean, his potential, I think, is sky high. And I think if you can add that to the Seattle Seahawks roster, along with a DK Metcalf, a Tyler Lockett, I think it would be huge. Kenneth Walker, a lot of those playmakers, add another playmaker to this offense, and for Geno Smith, or even if he's not the quarterback and somebody else is the quarterback, I think Tyler Warren would be a heck of a pick for whoever's quarterback there in Seattle.
Yeah, it's a good pick. It's a good pick because Noah Fant, like you said, he's not anything to we all know him from Broncos. We had hopes for him, but he never panned out to be the player we thought he was going to be. I got a question for you because we're not doing trades tonight, but I got to ask you this question. Tyler Warren just got picked 18 by you. So if you're the Broncos sitting at 20 and you like Tyler Warren, Do you try and trade with the Bengals at 17, being that there's some tackles on the board that they may still like that can fall back to 20?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely in the consideration. I think it depends on what the Broncos feel about Colston Loveland and the rest of the tight ends in this class. I think that, if they think Tyler Warren's is that the best tight end in this class, and they think that he's got a ton of potential and they can form him to be that guy, then I don't think they would hesitate to trade up to this point. Again, you got to see what the price would be to trade up to 18 or even in front of Seattle. If you're the Broncos and you got any intel that Seattle would pick Tyler Warren, maybe they trade it to 17. In the Cincinnati, like you said. But it all depends on how they feel about Colston Loveland and the rest of these tight ends throughout this class. So it's definitely got to be in consideration, though, I think, for the Broncos.
Yeah, you know what? You're going to be picking for the Broncos in a moment. Michael wants to know who took Ashton Genty. That was, unfortunately, Michael, the Las Vegas Raiders. Trevor got to make that pick. Above that, he's saying before that, Arizona Wildcats, McMillan was mocked to the Raiders last week. And that was your choices, McMillan and Janty. Those were your two choices there. You went with Janty. Keith saying, if you're Kyle Pitts as a tight end, you may never pan out. Forget first year. And Jody likes the pick, talking about hell yes, I think with Warren, what you said about Warren. And Michael giving us the news that, for those who don't know, the Rams are going to trade Cooper Kupp. All right, 19, the pick before the Broncos. You know what? I'm going to take Colston Loveland. I'm just joking, guys. I'm not going to do that. No, we're not doing that. Buccaneers have some needs. Edge, linebacker, defensive back, all defensive side of the ball here on their needs here. Jody's going to like this pick. He's out there listening. I'm going the corner. He drops this far down because he got injured. But I think this guy fits Todd Bowles' defense perfect. Benjamin Morrison, the corner out of Notre Dame, I think at 19. I think if he was healthy, I think he's top 10, top 12 pick. He's right there with Johnson, the other corner out of Michigan, if Morrison played the full year. So we're going Ben Morrison here at 19.
That's an interesting move for Tampa Bay, which, again, they could use edge rusher. They could use a lot of different positions there, but they end up dressing that defense, and that's a Todd Bowles led team. Defensive mind, those defensive mind head coaches, they like to get their guys in the draft. So I would not be surprised here if this was the pick.
Yeah, I went that way because you got the Falcons with Olave. You got the Falcons with the London and Olave. You need a young corner to stop those guys that you're going to face 2 times a year. All right, the time has come. Bronco fans are listening. Mr. Mays said he was going to wait. We got Keith out there, Jody, and we also got Graham backstage, Michael Ronquillo. Not to put any pressure on.
Yeah, no pressure at all, guys. Don't worry.
Not to put any pressure. You notice I let Trevor pick for the Broncos, so yeah. Real quick, Jody's saying best corner in the draft, better than Hunter at cornerback. Jody, wow. A big Notre Dame fan, throwing a big one out there.
Wow.
Graham saying, take the punter, Trevor. Take the punter.
Yeah, take the water boy.
The floor's yours. It's wide receiver, tight end, linebacker, safety are the needs for those who don't know, according to PFF.
Yeah, and that's like saying that's a lot of that's according to PFF. So again, there's a lot of different positions here that you can look at. You can look at wide receiver Luther Burden, wide receiver with Emeka Ibuka, Colston Loveland would be in play here. But for me, you have to win in the trenches. And I think that you have to address that. DJ Jones is a free agent. What free agent is going to be out there available? I'm going Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle from Mississippi, corner of the Denver Broncos. I think this is an immediate need. Some say it's tight end, it's wide receiver, it's running back. You have to have some sort of long-term up front on your defensive line. You have guys like Zach Allen. You have guys like John Franklin Myers who are free agents in a year. There's no long-term piece on this defensive line. You have to have that. Look at the Chiefs. Look at the Eagles. They have those guys. Chris Jones up front. You know how much of how great this Broncos defense will look with a guy like Chris Jones. And I'm not comparing Walter Nolan to Chris Jones by any means. But what I'm saying is you have to shore up that defensive line. We've seen Multiple times this year, the Broncos got ran on by good elite running backs. You have to be able to stop that if you want to go to the next level. And you have to add pieces on not only on the offensive side of the ball, but also on the defensive side of the ball. Tight ends, I think the Broncos will address tight end. I just don't know that they're going to address that in the first round. I think this is a deep tight end class. I like Mason Taylor, the tight end from LSU. I think running back, this draft class is deep with running backs. Genty, I don't think is making it to them at 20. They'd have to move up for him. So best, I think for me, you have to strip that defensive line. If you want to be competitive with those teams like Kansas City Chiefs, and you want to advance in the playoffs and continue your success, you have to be able to win up front, and starts with the trenches. Walter Nolan, for me, has got to be the pick here.
Trevor, I'm going to get to some comments that I'm going to respond to your pick. Michael going to take Trevion Henderson from Ohio State. If he was running the Broncos organization. I think that's a good pick in the second or third round, Michael. I think he may slip. I think that's an excellent pick, but I think he can slip. Jody's taking Ibuka or Loveland. Scott over on YouTube saying, Trevor, you the man, pick right. Peter Johnson giving you applause and saying, love it, love the mindset. Jody, if Denver takes a D tackle round 1, that's a horrible pick.
I disagree with that.
Peter also saying, Buffalo and Baltimore bullied our defense. Need to stop that from happening from now on.
Yep.
And Mr. Ernie Mays, great pick, Trevor. Trevor, I'm not trying to win Bronco fans over, but I swear to you, and I swear to the posse that we call the Denver Bronco fans, our posse on Denver Bronco Roundup, and I swear to everybody else out there watching, Walter Nolan was my pick for the Broncos as well. Trevor said it best. Go and watch this guy. He not only stops the run, but he can also get to the quarterback.
Yeah.
You have that next to Zach Allen, and then you got Nick Bonito. Now you got 3 guys, and then Franklin Myers or Jonathan Cooper. Roach.
Yeah.
Now you got some depth on the defensive front. Trevor nailed it when he said there's depth at tight end. After Tyler Warren, you don't want to take too many tight ends in the first round. Mm-hmm. Loveland is going to be good, I believe, but what if he's not? Take a chance with the better need here, in my opinion, is a defensive tackle. You can get like Trevor loves Taylor. I love the kid Arroyo from Miami. Go and watch his size. Huge red zone target. Played for the Miami Hurricanes. I'm a big fan of the Miami Hurricanes, so I know them a little better than some people. Go watch this kid. The coach compared him to Jeremy Shockey and Jimmy Graham combined. You can get that in the second or third round. Steal of the draft. We got running back, like you said. There's good running backs in this draft. Well, this was the pick. This was the pick to make, and I love this pick for the Broncos.
Well, and Kenny, here's the thing. I think the Broncos there's a chance to address tight end in free agency. Like tight end may not even be this big of a need by the time we get to the draft. That's why I say you got to go best player available. You have to invest in the defensive line. Some people can say you can address that in free agency. Well, those guys are older. That doesn't help you when it comes to young controllable contracts and young guys and getting younger on that defensive line. You can get old on the defensive line and fall behind on the defensive line. Teams are just going to run on you all day. You have to invest in the defensive line. And Sean Payton's done that in the past. He's invested on the defensive line more than he has tight end. So I think you can find a tight end in the second and third round, but you can also pick one up in free agency. So it's not number 1 need or top of the list going into the draft.
Yep. And a couple more comments. Keith. Wow, Trevor, a defensive lineman. Hope we get weapons in free agency. And guys, go check out Rocky Mountain Sports Network. We started Dark Horse series, Dark Horse free agents. I have my 5 Dark Horse free agents up there right now. Please go check out the website. It's on the website. Keith, Trevor, and Jody will be putting theirs up in the upcoming days. And give us your thoughts. It's like I said, it's called Dark Horse, so it means there's a chance to go get one of these 5 guys. Maybe 2 out of the 5. But there's some people out there in free agency, like he just said. Hope we get weapons in free agency. There are some out there, so go check out our Dark Horse series that we started tonight. Scott wants to pick a running back round 2 and a tight end round 3.
Yeah.
Taylor, Arroyo may slip. Fannin Jr. getting a lot of people not high on him because he's more of a wide receiver, but you go get a tight end in free agency, go get 2 tight ends, one in free agency and one in the draft, get a receiving and one that's a blocker. Now you're building an offense.
Yep.
Jody, you get Nick's weapons. D-line will be addressed in free agency.
But
See,
they're
Jody,
all
that's
older.
where I disagree. You want to get Bo Nick's weapons in free agency as opposed to these young guys. You got young guys. You got Franklin. You got Ville to develop. You don't want to get more weapons, in my opinion, in round 1 to develop. Go get them in free agency. There's the link. Thanks, Keith. The Rocky Mountain Sports Network.com. Click on that link and again, give us your thoughts on our Dark Horse free agent series that we're starting. Tell us what you think. Michael, then I'm trading back into the first round to get my running back playmaker. So there's a lot of love, there's a lot of hate with the pick, Trevor. That's good. I like that. That's I know a lot of people. The sexy pick would have been Luther Burden, Ibuka, Loveland, but I really think you went the right route here, Trevor. I think this guy would be an immediate impact on the Broncos on the defensive side. You got to face Mahomes, you got Herbert, and you're going to have a new Raiders quarterback. You got to get people to get to the quarterback. You got Benito. Now you got to stop the run. Raiders might get janty. You got to stop that. Pacheco, the Chargers are going to try and get running back in the offseason, whether it's through free agency or draft. You got to have run stoppers. So go watch tape on this guy, and then if you still don't like the pick, come at us tomorrow on Denver Bronco Roundup. But, I'm not doing this because Trevor's on with me, but that was my pick too. So our minds are thinking alike with Walter Nolan there.
Yeah.
So,
well, and how many first-round tight ends actually hit, though, Kenny? That's the thing. Not a lot of them.
That's the thing. I think there's good value at tight end in the middle rounds in day 2.
Yeah.
I do.
Agreed.
Mason Taylor made some big plays in 2023 against, I think it was Alabama, made the game-winning catch when they went for 2. I'll never forget that play. It was such a great call by LSU head coach. Why can't I think of his name right now, Jody? your old Notre Dame coach. What's his name? Anyway, I'm drawing a blank right now. It'll come to me in a second. But him going for 2, Mason Taylor, big target. There's some big time tight end size in this draft that you can get in day 2. So love the pick, Trevor. Any final words on the Denver pick, chat? Trevor, we can always go back to it, but any final words on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you can address defensive line right now, and you get a guy that I think fills a need. I think he's immediate right now. I mean, I think he could step in and start on your defensive line, and then you can still address running back, tight end, and wide receiver in the draft. I mean, this draft is deep at tight end, it's deep at running back, and I like Henderson too, like Michael Ronquillo said. But you don't need to take a running back this early. And in my opinion, I love Colston Loveland. He's my favorite tight end prospect in this draft. But I just worry about taking a tight end in the first round, and I don't know that Sean Payton's going to do that. I think they'll address tight end in free agency.
Great point. Jasicki out there. There's some tight ends that are good, sneaky options for the Broncos in free agency. All right, Trevor, moving along. I got an AFC powerhouse here. Interesting team here. The Steelers. Steelers is losing a lot. It looks like they're going to lose Najee Harris. It looks like they're going to lose possibly Russell Wilson and maybe Justin Fields. Who knows what they're going to do there at their quarterback. I'm not reaching for a quarterback here. Their needs are quarterback, wide receiver, defensive back. I see two wide receivers that fell into my lap at 21. One's ranked number 10 on the board here in Luther Burden. One's ranked 14 in Emeka Ibuka. Both of them fit. I'm going to go with the guy I had mocked on my list here. I actually had the Texas wide receiver, Matthew Golden, listed here. But with these two guys listed on the board here, I'm going to go with Luther Burden. I can't let him slip anymore. And I think they need to address the wide receiver. Pickens was a head case towards the end of the season, a lot of drops. I'm going to go with Luther Burden, the speedster from Missouri, and get Tomlin a weapon on offense.
Yeah, I agree with that pick. And I mean, you don't know what you're going to get with George Pickens. I mean, he wasn't reliable in the playoffs, unfortunately for that team. I do think they probably will bring Russell Wilson back, but again, you have Pat Frymuth and Pickens. Who else? So they need more weapons. You might lose Warren in free agency, the running back. So, I think that you need another weapon, and I think Burden makes a lot of sense for the Steelers.
Yeah, and this could be a nightmare for the Broncos here. The Chargers are on the clock, and I'm looking at their needs. Running back, wide receiver, tight end, edge. Looks like he has his choice of Emeka Ibuka. He's got Matthew Golden, and Colston Loveland is on that board still. So it looks like the Chargers are in a nice spot here to get something that they need. So where are the Chargers heading here, Trevor?
Yeah, I'm going to have them taking my favorite tight end prospect I just mentioned a minute ago. I'm going to have him taking Colston Loveland. I think that, again, he slipped this far. I think that Harbaugh, as much as he loves to run the football, I think they need a tight end. Will Dissly's a fine tight end, but I think if you can get a young tight end in place for Justin Herbert, I think that makes a lot of sense for them. So Colston Loveland is the pick for me here at 22. You could go Emeka Ibuka here, but you still have Quentin Johnston, and then you have Lyle McConkey, and they may still add somebody in free agency too. But I think Harbaugh's done a great job with that team, and I think they're in line to add another playmaker here.
And curious to see if this happens because Harbaugh knows Loveland from his time coaching at Michigan. So, he picked a linebacker last year, and we'll see if he goes with Loveland in this draft. Keith saying no quarterbacks from Pittsburgh, so the Steelers have to go another route. Laughing with the emoji there. Yeah, you could see it. I could see maybe a day two. Jalen Milroe, Quinn Ewers, maybe they take a chance with one of them, but I don't think they're gonna take a shot with a reach in the first round. Keith, Kenny Pickett come to mind, and like you said, no Russell Wilson or Fields, both being free agents. So, gonna be curious to see what the Steelers decide to do. They might go like the Kirk Cousins route. Who knows?
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
You never know with that team. Yeah.
But even if no matter whoever you get a quarterback there, though, they still need more playmakers. I mean, you have Pickens, and that was largely their offense. Najee Harris is also a free agent this year. They could address running back later in the draft. I don't think they addressed it this early, but they need more playmakers on that offensive side of the ball. I think they got a great defense, but that offense is falling behind, and we've seen that take place in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Ready to move on. We're going to move on to the NFC North, Green Bay Packers. Tough division. You got Justin Jefferson. You got the Lions, and you got the Bears. A lot of three offensive-minded teams. Playmakers, I should say, on all those teams. There's a stud wide receiver out there that I like a lot in Emeka Ibuka, and it's going to be hard to pass up on him, knowing what the LaFleur likes to do in Green Bay. But I gotta go down the line here, and I'm gonna take a corner, and I'm gonna take the one out of East Carolina, which is he's projected as a late first round pick here on PFF. But I'm gonna go with Siobhan Revell. I watched some tape on him. I think he's better than people think, and you say he went to East Carolina. Well, Quinyon Mitchell went to Toledo, and he turned out to be, in my opinion, the best out of the 2024 draft. So I'm going to take a shot here with Siobhan Revell, the corner out of East Carolina, Trevor.
I think that's a great pick. I mean, again, I think 6'3", long, lengthy corner, 6'3", 193 would fit what that team is going to do. On the other side, Xavier Alexander as well. So you can help shore up that defense up a little bit more. I like the pick. I like them being aggressive here.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's going to put the Minnesota Vikings on the clock. The surprise team in the NFL. A lot of people arguing that. We had that question last week on K&K. 14-3 record. fell short in the playoffs. Wild card at 14-3. Imagine that. But they have some needs. Their needs are running back, guard, defensive lineman, and corner. We just said, the NFC North being offensive minded division. So curious to see where you're going to go here.
Yeah, that's a lot of. I think one of the picks I had earlier was the one you took from me from Minnesota. Will Johnson. Actually, I had Will Johnson going here. I slipped this far. That's a great. It's a great, interesting spot for Minnesota. They may even end up trading back. So, but we're not doing trades in this one. I'm gonna have them going Kenneth Grant, the defensive lineman, defensive tackle out of Michigan. I think they need to shore up that run defense a little bit more. And I think that they will. That Kenneth Grant, big guy, can end up helping them do so. I mean, this is kind of right around the range. I think he'll go 6'3", 339, a big boy up front. And again, you have to invest into the trenches, and I think Minnesota does it here. And not too much of a glaring need. Obviously, we'll see how their quarterback situation kind of pans out. Maybe they go offensive line here, but there's a lot of guys kind of going off the board. Could be a trade back situation easily from Minnesota, but I have them investing up front on the defensive line.
Yeah, I like that pick, Trevor. If we were doing a trade, this could be maybe a trade back.
Yeah.
Maybe try and get a running back a little later in the first round. If they lose Aaron Jones, they're going to need help there. But I think this is a solid pick. Build that defense around be the best defense in the NFC North, and Flores coming back. You can count on that defense being aggressive, and it's a solid pick there with the Kenneth Grant, the Michigan. So the Texans are on the clock. The Texans have needs at wide receiver, center, guard, and defensive lineman. In my sheet here, I did not have Ibuka going this far down, so I'm changing my mind on the spot, and I'm jumping up to the podium before the time runs out. And this pick is easy for the Texans. You're going to Mecca Ibuka here. Possibly going to lose Stephon Diggs in free agency. Tank Dell injury was horrific. They still got Nico Collins, and now you can get Ibuka to be opposite of Nico Collins. I think that's a no-brainer of a pick, and I'm jumping up to the podium if I'm Houston with Emeka Ibuka.
Yeah, and that's a team that lost Tank Dell last year, so they definitely need to possibly address the wide receiver situation. They have Nico Collins, but not a lot after him. So I think this is a great pick and a home run pick, I think, for the Texans here.
Let's get some comments, catch up on that. So Michael answered Ernie's question. Thank you, Michael. Keith wants to know, will this be another Pickett and Ritter type of draft with the quarterbacks?
It definitely has that potential. I'll say that, but I think Cam Ward has the highest potential. It definitely could be that. I don't know that it would be quite as bad, but it definitely has potential, and it's just going to depend on where these guys land. Though it's all about the fit.
Yeah, it's all about the fit, and also these guys are going probably top 5, at the worst top 10, where Ritter and Pickett really dropped their years and were taken further down the line in the first. So, yeah, I mean, we've got a friend, Bradley Schneider, on YouTube. Thanks, Bradley, for joining us. And he's saying Vikings take Grant from Michigan. So just catching up on the comments that Trevor had as well. So good minds think alike. And thank you, Bradley, for tuning in. Keith saying -3 degrees here, and the powder is piling up. Stay warm and safe, my friend. Montana, as I know, it can get very cold up there, so please stay safe. And I know Graham is up there in Canada. You stay warm too, my friend. And Michael saying, can Vance Joseph coach Walter Nolan? He wants to know, Trevor.
Yeah. I mean, he just needs. My whole pick around that was not only just a prospect of Walter Nolan, I think how great he can be, and he's an immediate impact player for the Broncos defensive line. It's just also, Michael, and any Broncos fan out there, it's also that you have to get younger on the defensive line at some point in time. It's great to spend in free agency and whatnot, but those guys are 27, 28 years old for the most part. At some point in time, you have to start getting a little bit younger on the defensive line, just like on the offensive line. I mean, it's just I think this is a time where you have to decide, should you address the defensive line?
Yeah. A great question there, Michael, and great answer, Trevor. Going to put you on the clock. I got a feeling the Rams are going to Plan B here, and maybe looking for again. This isn't a trade. We're not doing. We're going to have our next mock draft. We'll have trades, but I got a feeling this is the Rams desperate to trade back here. If it felt like this, because I think they were hoping for a Buka with the news spreading today that Cooper Cup. They're going to try and trade Cooper Cup. I think they were hoping that Ibuka would last, but the Texans ruined their dreams right there, Trevor. But since there's no trades, that says the Rams need tight end, tight tackle, linebacker, corner. I'm going to add wide receiver with that news breaking today. So curious to see where you're going to go with this pick.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's so interesting with the Cooper Cup news coming out. I'm going to go on the offensive line. I'm going to go. Was it Amon Mebu, the
Yes.
tackle from Missouri, 6'3", 314. I think that's a heck of a pick there for the Rams. If they don't want to trade back, I think that would be a position where they try to add and continue to protect Matthew Stafford if he ends up being the quarterback still indeed next year there, in LA with the Rams. So I think that's a position of need for them and would be a heck of an investment, I think, here in the first round.
I like that pick. Yeah, you got to protect your quarterback, and you can never go wrong with some guys that are first round talent here. And again, combine coming up. You want to see what these guys do with the combine, and some rankings may climb and drop, but I like that pick a lot. Scott saying sunny and 70 here in Denver. Oh la la, wow. And Graham saying the Rams are going to be so different in a few years. No Stafford, no Cup, no Darnold. And yeah, they are going to be different. Puka, they're going to have to build that offense around Puka and Kyrie Williams.
Yep.
And this may be another one, if McVay likes a young quarterback to take in day 2 or maybe even day 3, you take a chance and try and get that. I'm not saying Brock Purdy, we're Mr. Irrelevant, but maybe you get a late day 2 or an early day 3 pick. You try and develop him behind Stafford before he retires.
Yeah, I think that would be smart to invest into a quarterback at some point in time. It's just, do you want to invest into a young quarterback this year? Or and we don't know how long Stafford has with the Rams. He may not be a Ram next year, and we don't know what's going to happen. So, but I would think they're going to try to get some young quarterback and stick behind Stafford and let him learn. Obviously, they were rumored to be in on Bo Nix last year if he ended up falling past the Broncos, but of course the Broncos ended up securing Bo Nix, so that ended up happening and kind of ruined the Rams' plans.
I could see this being like a Quinn Ewers destination.
Yeah.
Upsides there, but he needs to be in the right system, meaning sit and develop. Don't rush him in day 1. He can be something,
Mm-hmm.
So I think all this Arch Manning stuff got to him a little bit because the talent is there, in my opinion, with Quinn Ewers. And Arch Manning, all the that's got to be in your head, knowing that he's there waiting to take over. And if I mess up, he's going to take over. So, I think that got in his head a little bit. And, they fell short in the playoffs. But I think he could be in the right spot and coached under the right system. He could be a good pro. We'll see. We'll see what happens. That's going to put a couple more on the clock here for us. We got the Ravens. The Ravens' needs are wide receiver, tight end, edge, and corner. Wide receivers going off the board. There's one left, Matthew Golden. I'm going to pass on him. You still got Zay Flowers. You got Bateman over there. You got Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, of course. I could go tackle, but I'm going to go defensive side of the ball here. I'm going to go with one of the 2 edge rushers. I'm going to go Jack Sawyer. I've seen a lot of him in the Big Ten. You can go Shamar Stewart here. I think it's a coin flip. But give me Jack Sawyer. I saw him in the playoffs, and I think he's an elite, one of the top 5 in this draft edge rushers. So getting him at 27 rather, is a steal for the Ravens, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's you took a possible pick for the Detroit Lions that were picking at 28.
I know I changed my mind a little bit on the sheet, but yeah. So that's gonna a couple comments. Keith, Justin Fields to the Rams, Trevor?
Yeah, I don't know that McVay. I don't know that Justin Fields fits what McVay's looking for. Maybe Kirk Cousins if Stafford's done this year. There's been a little discussion about if Stafford's going to be back this year or not. So maybe Kirk Cousins goes there. But I don't know. It's hard to say where Justin Fields is going to go. Remember, he went for a 7th-round draft pick a year ago in a trade.
Yeah. Yeah, so some team going to bring him in maybe as a backup option,
Yeah.
So maybe he does go to the Rams and backs up Stafford, but I think the Rams got to take a young quarterback to try and develop while they can.
Yeah. Well, I think McVay likes the pocket passing quarterbacks. Like, you mean look at what Garoppolo was. Jimmy Garoppolo backed up Stafford last year, and with the Rams. So I think McVay likes those pocket passing quarterbacks. I don't know that Justin Fields, kind of qualifies as that. I mean, I don't think he does. I should say. So I don't think that's a fit. But I mean, it could be interesting if it happens.
Yep. Michael breaking the news of last night for those who haven't heard yet. Major NBA trade, blockbuster. Dallas traded Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis and some other pieces, but those are the two big names. And that happens in NBA, Michael. Anything's possible now. I think that's going to open up other sports. You're going to see some blockbuster trades in the future. So you may see, not saying it's the Broncos, not saying it's the Giants, you may see a blockbuster trade this offseason in the NFL.
Yeah.
A name that you wouldn't expect to get traded. This is going to open up doors, and I'm telling you, so you're going to see. It makes it exciting, when you see big names traded like that.
Well, we could see it if Myles Garrett gets traded. It's going to be a blockbuster trade. I mean, it's going to be a well-known blockbuster trade. It's not going to be like the Luka Doncic situation where it was unknown and nobody knew that Luka was even available. But it's with Myles Garrett trade, it's going to be a big trade. He's one of the best edge rushers in football, and so the Browns are going to get a lot back.
I would even throw Cooper Kupp in the name. That's a big name to get traded too. If somebody does pick him up, not as big as Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett, top 3 pass rusher in the league, top 3 defensive guy in the league, in my opinion. So yeah, if he gets traded, that's going to probably be a 1st-round pick for him, or like a multiple picks, maybe a player, a decent player in return. So curious to see what the Browns get if they do trade Garrett. Keith wants to know if Darnold would go back to the Rams.
Not as a backup. I think that if they moved off Stafford, I think they would be in play. But there's no way Sam Darnold's going to go from Minnesota to another team to be the backup. I think that's what Keith means is Darnold going to the Rams to be a starting quarterback. That would mean Stafford's not there. But and I could see that. But right now with Stafford in place, probably not.
Yeah, absolutely. So Carson, he was on earlier. Carson Shear show. He's part of the K&K Sports Show. His Detroit Lions fell short, unfortunately. We had hopes that they were going to go to the Super Bowl this year. He alluded 16 injuries on the defense, Trevor. They have some needs on offensive line, center and guard, and they have some needs on defense, edge and linebacker.
Yeah, this might be another trace back situation for Detroit at this point, but I think that I'm going to go the defensive side of the ball. I think that's where you could use a little bit more pass rush. I know losing Hutchinson was huge for them as far as being able to get after the quarterback. I'm going to go Shamar Stewart, edge rusher out of Texas A&M. You just pass on him, and I think this is be a great situation for him to go to Detroit. You have another young pass rusher that you can put on the other side of Hutchinson and be able to get after the quarterback at a high level. So I had Jack Sawyer. He was originally my pick, but Kenny ended up picking him, selecting him to go to Baltimore. So Shamar Stewart here for me, I think, is too good to pass up for Detroit. But again, could see them possibly trade back too and get multiple picks back.
Yeah, I could see them trading back, but I love the pick. Shamar Stewart, Jack Sawyer was a 1-1A for me, so it could very well be a 1-1A for the Lions. If they're both sitting there, they sit down pat and they take whoever isn't picked if one of those two were to get picked. That being said, we got a couple more teams. My neck of the woods, the Washington Commanders are on the board, and they have need at wide receiver, tackle, edge rusher, and corner. Well, let me tell you, watching Commanders games, watching the playoff game, I could tell you that number one on this list of needs is cornerback in the secondary. St. Juice just is not doing it. Marshawn Lattimore, he's a head case. I got to go corner. And you may even see if somebody slips, you may see Washington try and trade up. But I'm going to go best available on this board. And he could be a late first round pick, and that's Trey Amos, the corner out of Mississippi. We're taking Trey Amos there, Trevor. How do you like that one?
Yeah. I mean, I think that again, Dick, you kind of alluded to it, Kenny. They need corner. I mean, they got Lattimore, but they penalty wise, he just wasn't, smart with those penalties. I'm trying to put it in a nice way. Wasn't smart with those penalties. And so I think that if you can get younger at cornerback, this would be where you can go, or I should say secondary. You get younger in the secondary. This is where I would go as well. I mean, wide receiver, I could see them possibly going wide receiver here too. You have McLaurin, but you need more. You have Zach Ertz and whatnot. Matthew Golden possibly here, the wide receiver from Texas could have went here. And don't be shocked. I mean, Marion Hampton, the running back from North Carolina, possibly could have went here too. They could have went running back here as well.
Yeah, interesting. That's a good point. Keith wants to know our over/under for trades in the first round. I'm gonna set it at low. I'm gonna set it at 2, Trevor. I know we talk about possible trade backs, but the middle rounds is where you see more of the trades. So I'm gonna go over/under 2.5, because you always got to get the half in there for the, so, and I'm going to go with 2 trades. So I'm going to say it's under that number, Keith. I'm going to say 2 trades in the first round, and it's going to be later in the first round.
Yeah. Because, I mean, again, who's chasing what quarterback? I mean, that's right. The thing. I mean, and it depends on what Tennessee does. This whole draft, for at least the top 10 anyways, is going to depend on what Tennessee does at number 1. Do they end up trading back? I mean, maybe. I'm going to set it like 3 or 4. I'll go 3.5, because I think Tennessee could possibly trade back and get more picks, because they're an organization and a team that needs more picks. And I don't believe they're just a quarterback away. Now, of course, if they believe that Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders is their guy, okay, go take your guy. But if you don't believe that, and you want to trade back and get a really good trade package for someone that does believe that Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders are those guys, and they want to get up in front of the Giants, if the Giants, you go quarterback, I could absolutely see that kind of trade happening. It could start at pick 1 in this draft.
Yeah, absolutely. And I could see another one. I could see a team like Dallas, a team like Chicago trying to get ahead of each other and a bidding war for Ashton Jeanty. That's going to be curious to see, because you had a mock for the Raiders at 6. Mm-hmm. If the Bears or Cowboys really think they're going to get, they're really going to take Ashton Jeanty, that there's big possibility on that. You could see that trade up as well. Bears or Cowboys. Got a question from Brandon Hollum from YouTube. Thank you, Brandon, for joining us. Titans trade number 1 pick for Myles Garrett, Trevor?
No, I don't think so. I think that's a team that's trying to build still. I think Myles Garrett's a very good elite edge rusher, but I mean, you're talking about multiple picks, and it's just picks that they really can't afford to trade. I think this is a team that's still trying to build. They just hired a new GM from Kansas City. Kansas City's known for drafting and developing, so I think they want to trade back probably to get more picks if they don't believe and either Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, or one of the quarterbacks. I think they end up moving back, and I wouldn't be surprised. I think that's definitely an option for them. But yeah, I mean, Myles Garrett, I don't think that they're one Myles Garrett away from being a playoff team.
Yeah, and Brandon, if you're a Titans fan, I'd like to know who you think, who would you like at number 1 for the Titans? I mocked them with Cam Ward. I feel you need the quarterback. You're not going to pick this high. Hopefully not going to pick this high again next year. And you take the chance with the quarterback, in my opinion, as opposed to going a different route. Michael's saying, don't help the Chiefs, please, and help the Broncos. Another question for Keith, and then we'll continue with the draft. What percentage chance do you give your respective team that they trade their first-round pick? I'll go first, Trevor.
Mm-hmm.
If the Giants are in love with Shedeur Sanders, which I think they are, Keith, I'm going to give them I'll give them close to 50% moving up to assure they get Sanders. Shane and Dable are on the hottest seat that you can be on. If they get off to a slow start, Keith, you're going to see Mike Kafka take over as head coach interim. So I think it's going to be a good chance that 50% chance that the Giants move up to assure themselves Sanders if they feel they may lose him.
Yeah. For the Broncos, I don't see them trading picks. I just don't. They didn't trade up for a quarterback last year when everybody thought they would trade up to get a Drake May or be able to try to trade up for a quarterback. They were smart and they stayed patient and they still got their guy. So for me, I think the Broncos may trade back. But I don't see them trading up for for anybody high. Maybe if like in Genty or Warren, if they're high on those guys, couple spots they trade up for them. Because then the draft capital that you're having to give up is not as much. The closer the picks are to the Broncos pick at 20, but I don't see them making a big major jump up. They could trade back, and I'm actually in favor of that if the right player, if the players that you don't believe in aren't there. I'm actually a big fan of them possibly trading back to get more picks. You get more bites at the apple, and be able to grows a chance of them trying to hit on some of these players.
Yeah, and Brandon's saying he's not a Titans fan. He just sees their owner floating that rumor for headlines. When you have a number one pick, you got to milk it. Brandon, if you don't mind, let us know what fan you are, and we can tell you who we picked for them and get your thoughts on the pick. That being said, Trevor, let's move along. We're getting near the end here. You're up with the Buffalo Bills at number 30.
Yeah, again, this is a situation with Buffalo where they have a lot of different weapons on the offensive side of the ball, but you have Amari Cooper, who I do not believe will end up being back there in Buffalo. I think he's going to end up going somewhere else. Matthew Golden's sitting right there, the wide receiver from Texas, 6', 195. I think this is where they end up going here. Give Josh Allen another weapon. I know they need some help on the defensive side of the ball. Cornerback could be there. If the right corner's there, I could definitely see them going cornerback. But and then this is another team that we've seen this, we've been saying this multiple times, could be a team that ends up trading back in this scenario, but we're not doing trades backs right now or any trades at all. So, wide receiver Matthew Golden, I think here at pick 30 for the Buffalo Bills gives Josh Allen another weapon. And then Amari Cooper out the door adds to what they have with Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, and James Cook.
Yeah, I like this pick at 30 for Buffalo, and I think maybe you stole a pick from the Chiefs who are upcoming at 32. So you gotta like that as a Bronco fan as well. He's a Texans fan, so let's go back, Trevor, and pull up who we drafted for the Texans. I drafted Emeka Egbuka, fell in our mock there. Brandon, give us your thoughts on that, and who would you like to see the Texans pick? And thanks for joining us. Love to have different fans from around the country here, so appreciate that. Trevor, you didn't give Keith the percentage. He's giving you a hard time. Keith saying they Bills need a big interior lineman on the defense, in his opinion. So
I'll give Keith a percentage real quick. Okay. I give it about a 45% chance the Broncos trade their pick.
Yeah, and I know Brandon came in late. Our analysis on it, Brandon, was, the reason why I took Egbuka was Tank Dell's injury, horrific injury, unfortunately for him, and most likely losing Stephon Diggs. I think you got to get if Egbuka is sitting there, I think could be the best wide receiver to come out of this class. That's how high I am on him. So I think that's a great steal for the Texans if he falls to them. He's saying Egbuka is like getting a new Robert Woods at the same time Robert Woods leaves the team. Well said. Well said. We're going to go a couple more. And again, thank you for hanging out with us tonight. We got a couple more. I get my arch rival as a Giants fan. I get the Eagles. So I'm going to take a long snapper here in the first round. the guy from the Colorado School of Mines. I'm joking. I'm joking, of course. We'll be realistic here. They have needs on here saying wide receiver, guard, edge, corner. I don't know how you need a wide receiver when you got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, so I disagree with that. I'm going to disagree with guard because we all know how well they ran the ball with Barkley. So I'm going defensive side of the ball. I'm going to go. I'm going to look at the best. I think they might lose Zach Bond. I'm going off of this board here, the top linebacker in this on PFF's rankings. I originally had Jihad Campbell linebacker, but I'm going to go Demetrius Knight. I like him a little more. Watch some stuff on him. I'm going to go Demetrius Knight for the Eagles. But again, you could see a trade back here for them as well. But in this draft, we're going to go Demetrius Knight, linebacker. They may lose Zach Bond to a team willing to pay a little more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if they went inside linebacker here, Kenny. I think that's a really good point. I wonder if they're trying to bring back Bond a little bit because I think Bond. See, I know he's a top. He's top on everybody's list as far as free agents, inside linebackers. I get that, but is he more of a? Is it more schematically with him, or is it more? What is it with him? Because he's this year has been his breakout year. Before with Zach Bond, he's been a special teams guy. So it's just one of those concerns. If you're looking to sign Zach Bond, he's been just strictly a special teams guy before. So is it schematically there in Philly that they use him differently, that he's really been able to show his talent? I think it's a great fit there if they can get him back. But I know that they've invested quite a bit in that team just as a whole from a contract standpoint. So I think it depends on what Bond's contract ends up being. But I wouldn't be surprised if they end up addressing inside linebacker here.
We got a couple comments and a question from Brandon. He's saying other options for Texans are interior offensive line to protect Stroud or a defensive tackle if there's a good run stopping defensive tackle. D'Amico Ryans wants to anchor his defense. Yeah. And then his question, Trevor, who is an unlikely prospect you could see sneaking into the first round? And that's a good question, Trevor. And we'll cheat a little bit. So if you want, you can see, I'll go scroll down a little bit here, and if you see somebody that catches your eye, just let me know. Jack Beck had a big Senior Bowl, Brandon. He highlighted the Senior Bowl on Saturday. Chiefs are coming up, Trevor. So why don't you make the Chiefs pick, and then we'll pick somebody each. We'll each pick somebody for sneaking into the first round.
Yeah, so for the Chiefs, I mean, they could go offensive line. You always need to try to look at your offensive line. You always need to look up front, offensive line, defensive line. You have to keep that fresh. I just explained that with the Broncos pick. And I think that right here you have a interior defensive lineman that's on the board still. And Mr. Tyleik Williams, defensive tackle from Ohio State. I think you put him right alongside Chris Jones. Chris Jones is getting older. You don't know how much more he has, to be elite, how much more time he has to be elite. So you want to try to reinvest in that defensive line. I think Tyleik Williams here would make a lot of sense for the Chiefs.
Absolutely, and we'll read our draft in a second, but let's answer Brandon's question. I got a name, and it's that guy Ty Beck. So I could see the Chiefs, Brandon, going wide receiver. You got DeAndre Hopkins, Juju Smith-Schuster. They seem to always hit home runs late in the first round with a wide receiver that can go early in the second round or in the first round. So the TCU wide receiver, Jack Beck, again, he had a huge Senior Bowl, name to look out for to see if he can sneak into the first round.
That's a great one. That's a great question. I'm gonna go Nick Amonmori, the safety out of South Carolina. I really like him. And we didn't get a chance. He didn't go in the first round in our mock, but I've done a couple mock drafts, and I have had him go in the first round. I really like the safety out of South Carolina. I think he would be a guy to watch. And I'll give you another guy, just another bonus here. Amarian Hampton, the running back out of North Carolina. I wouldn't be surprised if a team took a chance on him towards the back end of the first round if they knew a team that needed a running back was going to take him beginning of the second round. And I'm talking about a team like Washington. I wouldn't be surprised if they reinvest in the running back position and take like an Amorian Hampton. And so I think that they could possibly see that. Those are two guys that I think could possibly sneak into the back end of the first round.
I'll throw a long shot out there, and if this happens, I said if this ever happened for the Giants, I'm going to boycott Giant games last year. But I'm looking on the board here. Jalen Milroe, if some team took a chance on him, they're crazy. But I could see a team possibly like the Rams. We're talking about Stafford. If a team is really high on Jalen Milroe, and you don't want to wait to the second round, you could see maybe a team like the Rams. So an unlikely prospect that would fit that question. I think that's the option there late in the first round. The Rams with Jalen Milroe, if anything. One more from him. Also, do you think there are three guys who surprise everyone at the combine? I think there will be. I think there'll be some guys that surprise. I think you'll see surprise at wide receiver with speed / running back. Tight end is deep. I think people know that, but I think you may see a surprise running back sneak back up. Quarterback too. You may see his quarterback sneak in there. So on the defense, I could see three on each side of the ball, Brandon. So I'd say about six. That would surprise me.
Yeah, I think there's going to be more than three. I think that usually when you get to the combine, there's usually multiple guys end up surprising, and then that's what their measurables, and that's how they run, and the speed that they end up, projecting for everybody, all the scouts and everybody that looks and watches them. I think there are a couple of interior defensive linemen that could possibly break out as well. For other teams, Kenneth Grant's one of those guys that could run real well. And teams love athleticism, and then teams can absolutely fall in love with guys for their athleticism. So that's just something to keep in mind. And again, guys, this board is going to change multiple times before we get to the draft. I mean, we're just getting started with mock draft season, so the board will definitely change.
The board's definitely going to change. We're going to do one with trades and stuff like that. So I'm going to do this. I'll just do a quick rundown of our picks, and then we'll get some final comments from the audience in. Any questions, ask them. Final call for questions, and then we'll get our final thoughts. So our mock draft went like this, Trevor. Tennessee Titans taking Cam Ward at number 1. Abdul Carter, the edge rusher for the Browns. Shador Sanders, quarterback, Colorado Giants. Travis Hunter, Colorado, back-to-back Colorado. Travis Hunter goes to the Patriots. Mason Graham, the defensive lineman, goes to the Jaguars. Ashton Genty, the elite running back, to the Las Vegas Raiders. Will Johnson, the corner out of Michigan, to the Jets. James Pierce Jr., edge rusher, to the Carolina Panthers. Tetaroa McMillan, the Arizona wide receiver, to the Saints. Will Campbell, the tackle from LSU, to Chicago. Nick Skirton, Texas A&M edge rusher, to the 49ers. Malachi Starks to the Dallas Cowboys, the safety out of Georgia. Kelvin Banks, the tackle out of Texas. Jahdae Barron, corner out of Texas, back-to-back Longhorns, to the Colts. Mike Green, the edge rusher from Marshall, to the Falcons. Mikael Williams, the edge rusher, to Georgia. That's to the Cardinals. Josh Simmons, tackle of Ohio State, to the Bengals. Tyler Warren, the first tight end off the board, to the Seahawks. Benjamin Morrison, the corner out of Notre Dame, to the Buccaneers. Walter Nolan to the Broncos. A lot of love, a lot of hate for that pick for the Broncos. For those who don't know, Denver Bronco Roundup, Tuesdays and Friday nights. We'll get the plugs in a moment. Luther Burden, the wide receiver out of Missouri, to the Steelers. Colston Loveland, the tight end out of Michigan, to the Chargers. Siobhan Revelle, corner out of East Carolina, to the Packers. Kenneth Grant, defensive lineman, to the Vikings. Emeka Ibuka, Ohio State, to Brandon's Texans. Armad Membu, tackle out of Missouri, to the Rams. Jack Sawyer, the edge rusher, to the Ravens. Shamar Stewart, edge rusher, to the Lions. Trey Amos, corner, Commanders, Matthew Golden, Texans, Texas wide receiver to the Buffalo Bills, Demetrius Knight, the first linebacker off the board to the Eagles, and Talik Williams rounds out the first round to the Chiefs. Boy, when we do this again, you're going to take half of them, Trevor. That was a lot to say.
Yeah, it was. You're gonna need a gallon of water after that one.
Brandon say it might have ruined the surprise at the Senior Bowl, but I think Arroyo surprises any remaining people at the Combine. I'm a big Miami Hurricanes fan, Brandon, and Trevor, Bronco fan. They need tight end. I said this could be a steal in day 2 of the draft. So he may, let's see, maybe he might be a guy that even moves up to round 1 if he has a big Combine, and does good things over there. We'll see. But Michael saying Facebook is cutting out. I am here on YouTube for the rest of the show. Thank you, Michael. We're going to wrap up now. Thank you for that. Sometimes we have technical problems, unfortunately, doing shows live. Facebook's acting up, it looks like. So thank you for that, Michael. Brandon, thank you for joining us. Give us a follow if you like what you see. We got 2 shows here. I'm going to let Trevor talk about Denver Bronco Roundup on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network first. We combined shows tonight, so I'm going to let him talk about that for our newcomers. And please give us a follow on our shows and hang out with us. We're very audience, audience participation. We always like to engage in the chat, as you see. So we'd like everybody to be a part of the show.
Yeah, absolutely, Kenny. And big thank you to you. Big thank you to Graham, first and foremost, for just being amazing and putting on this great mock draft. I can't wait to do the next one. Big thank you to the audience for just being amazing and continuing to, just be here and comment and just watch. It just means a lot to us. But Denver Bronco Roundup, you can catch me, Kenny, Keith, and Jody Moncrief Tuesday nights, 7:30 Mountain Time. On Tuesdays and on Fridays and 9:30 Eastern time for those East Coast people. But a big shout out, big thank you to everybody in the comments and Jody and Kenny and Graham as well. You guys are doing an amazing job on K&K. And so thank you to everybody, and can't wait to do the next mock draft.
Thank you. And Graham, thanks for putting up the link. Just give that if you're not subscribed to the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, give that a click. Again, we're very audience participation is big with us, and we love to engage in our audiences. That being said, on the K&K Sports Show for Brandon and other newcomers out there, Mr. Ernie, I know you're big on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, but we're going to have a Super Bowl show related just to Super Bowl. We'll have some fun stuff for, Kurt's on there with us. All know Kurt from Let's Talk Broncos. We'll have some fun questions revolved around our teams. So it's going to be all Super Bowl related show tomorrow. But K&K Sports Show, we're on Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we talk all sports. But this is a special show this week. It's going to be all Super Bowl stuff, but we talk NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball. You want to talk golf, you want to talk darts, you can throw questions at us and we'll answer it to the best of our knowledge. But all joking aside, I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. Again, Trevor, Graham, Brandon, Scott, saying thoroughly enjoyed all your input tonight, Kenny and Trevor. Brandon saying Texans play versus the AFC West and NFC West next year. Texans are a nice team for the future. I think they're building it the right way there, Brandon. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Scott, Brandon, Ernie, Keith, Michael, Jody was in there earlier. Nicole, many to mention, and I don't want to forget anybody. I know I said Scott's name. Bradley was in earlier. Thank you, Bradley, newcomer. Peter Johnson, as always, great to see you. Graham backstage, Michael. We had a lot of comments. Carson, Clayton. I'm going back and I'm just trying to name everybody. So if I miss somebody because I'm scrolling really high and fast, I apologize. But thank you, Ernie. Ernie saying awesome podcast. And the last comment of the night before we say goodnight, the Broncos' next pick is 51 in the second round. Trevor, do you think the Broncos will trade up for their running back or tight end in that round?
Yeah, Michael, I think they can be aggressive. I think that's where you have more flexibility after the first round. I mean, if you go best player available, get your defense into your defensive lineman. I think that this draft's deep and at the running back and tight end positions. And so, yeah, I think that definitely opens the door for them to possibly trade up for a running back in the second round. I don't know how much they want to trade up for and what they want to give up, but I think if they fall in love with the running back and then fall in love with the tight end in the second and third round, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they'd be aggressive and trade up to get one of those guys or one of those positions.
A name to watch is Ollie Gordon. He was close to breaking Barry Sanders' record over there in Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State was not a good team this year. Let's see what he brings to the combine and pro day. Let's see what we got at Ollie Gordon. That could be a sleeper pick and an option for the Broncos. But again, thank you everybody. We're gonna do one. We're gonna do another one shortly. Our next one, I say shortly, in the upcoming weeks. We'll get it. We'll get it together. We'll make announcements. We'll have one with trades and have some fun with the audience with that as well.